The opioid epidemic that we have has gone through 3 waves. The first wave was prescription pills. Quite a number of years ago, the pharmaceutical companies started aggressively pushing prescription opioids on doctors to have them liberally prescribe them to the patients. At the time, they said that the chance of addiction was very low, that people could not develop tolerance to them, and people would not really particularly get high on them. All of that was false. That caused quite a number of overdose deaths. What people would do once they became addicted is they would take those pills and they would shave those pills down to powder, and they would snort them or they would inject them. In an effort to counter that, the pharmaceutical companies came up with a drug-resistant, a tamper-resistant oxycodone. Now, the unintended consequence of that was where people could no longer turn it into powder or inject it, they turned instead to heroin, which was sold by the same people who were selling them the pills. So from 2010, when those tamper-resistant pills came out, we saw a sudden increase in heroin. And then that led, the heroin was the second wave. The third wave, and the most deadly wave, has been the fentanyl.
I ain't even write rap. I was planning on how I was gonna get back to this motherfucking money. We need more Narcan for the trap. We need more Narcan for the trap. Narcan for the trap. 2 white licks passed out in the back. We need more Narcan for the trap. Narcan for the trap. Might lose one off this batch if we don't get more Narcan in this trap. Narcan in the trap. We need more Narcan in the trap. We need more Narcan in the trap. Narcan in the trap. This ain't what the clowns like. If Black Thought so fentanyl, this is what it would sound like.
Woke up in the dirt.
How'd you wake up in the dirt?
Taking a dirt nap.
You don't want to do that too often.
No, I fell asleep, I guess. I fell asleep by Dunkin' Donuts. I lost everything, my drugs, my money, my cigarettes, my food. It's funny because people will rob you and they'll leave dumb shit behind.
What'd they leave behind?
Condoms. You think they take those?
Left the condoms, huh?
Yeah.
I'll see you later, alright?
Mark Jenkins, Mark M-A-R-K, Jenkins Jenkins. I'm the Executive Director, Connecticut Harm Reduction Alliance. Harm reduction, I'm not going to give you the Wikipedia definition. I really think harm reduction is a practical response to unpopular situations. It's an exhibit of caring for an individual and listening and kind of responding to an individual's need with any positive change. Anything that we can do to help individuals develop a safer relationship with the behaviors or drugs of choice.
My name is Alex Dittmore. My pronouns are she, her. I am the program director for the Drop-In Center on Albany Avenue, as well as all of our HIV and Hep C screenings. So my main thing is putting out fires, I would say. So alleviating things that go on, whether it be responding to overdose. We have a lot of overdoses as well in the surrounding community. So where we're located at, for those of you that are familiar with Hartford, we're on Albany Avenue. We're between the intersections of Garden Street and Irving Street. And it's right near this place called CHS, Community Health Services. There's a liquor store across the street. There's a parking lot that used to be a park, and everyone just hangs out anyway. So there's a lot of overdoses that happen in the community, and since people know we're there, they come running in, ask us, tell us what's happening, or they'll say, hey, someone doesn't look too good. So it's not just responding inside of the facility as well as outside the facility, because we reversed plenty of overdoses behind the building, across the street, at the Chinese restaurant down the street, around the corner. We've had people running in from the building on Garden Street where there's a lot of apartments. So it's a lot of different things. And it's not all that chaotic and things like that. A lot of it is also shooting the shit with people. Like, it sounds very informal, but that's building rapport. You know, it's a drop-in center, so people don't just come in and have a transaction and then leave. They hang out, they talk for a bit, and like when you're talking for a little bit, even if it's just like, you know, sharing a sandwich, when we have coffee, sharing a cup of coffee, if you smoke cigarettes, people hang around, smoke a cigarette outside and talk with you. And because they feel comfortable talking to you, you're able to get so much more information. You're able to see, oh, you have issues with housing. Okay, your housing issue stems from a domestic violence situation on top of your substance use issue. You also told me that you really struggle with mental health and you haven't been on medication. So because of that rapport building and conversational part, you're able to have, you know, at least 4 or 5 different referrals and ways that you can wrap around someone. So harm reduction is always seen as, oh, it's just about injection drug use, it's just about sex work, and it's so much more than that. It's meeting people where they're at in all of their needs.
I've been with the agency for like, I don't know, 4 years. I use it to my advantage. It has led me away from being an overthinker as far as like my pain, my self-awareness pain, so in my mind. Well, being violated as I was young, that hurts me. For a moment in my life, when I was growing up, I thought I was supposed to be different or something, you know. And I fought it. I refused. But then again, when I was into my addiction, I sold myself for crack. So, honestly, I come from an era where 1990 was they were putting benzos already in heroin. So, you know, when you did heroin then, you got energetic. So you could go clean a house. And as long as you got me fixed, I'd clean a house and you pay me after my fee. But, you know, you could actually, you do something. Now this is like, it's dark. I did fentanyl, so I know what it's like. And that's just snoring, not actually shooting. Snoring, in my own home, I overdosed maybe a couple times in my own, and I managed to get to the cold water in the bathroom and just ran that thing on my neck because I thought I was gonna pass out. It's just a deeply profound darkness to it. Like you just shut down, like there's no enjoyment in that gap. Like you were just out. So that's the best I could describe it. There's nothing fun about it. Nothing that you could gain from it, but to knock yourself out.
My name is Buddha. I'm the queen of the avenue. It's worse than it was. It did back in the day. The drop wasn't here. A place like this wasn't here. This place helped a lot of people. You know, even if it's just to drop in and get cool. Like today, a hot day, I can go in here and cool off. Also come here and volunteer. I love doing outreach. I love helping people. People help me. So I come here in order to help other people. That's it.
My daughter, and she's been with me from, I got clean August the 25th, 2005. And she's been with me ever since. So this year coming up in August, I have 16 years.
This is my sponsor. This is my sponsor.
She did my recovery with me. She did the sofa dances with me. Well, so I have a grandson. He's my inspiration, and I've been rocking with him, and he's been rocking with me ever since I've been clean. So I got an anniversary coming up, and I love this. And when I was in my addiction, this is where I ran up and down opiates. So I'm back here giving back to my community, and I love helping people.
Harm reduction is a very different type of field. Our agency specifically is very different. Here, almost everyone, not everyone, but most folks here are in some form of recovery. We also work with people who are still in their active using. So I personally have worked and trained with what we call peer ambassadors. You know, they're community members, community gatekeepers, who are still in their active use, who are wanting to kind of dabble in getting kind of like back into stuff. You know, maybe they've been outside for a long time, you know, especially folks that are experiencing homelessness as well, and they haven't had a job in a long time. It's really hard to expect someone to get into housing and then figure out how to work again when you've been stuck in chaotic substance use and a survival-based street lifestyle for years.
My name's Scott Sampson. I'm 49 years old. I usually caught my drugs in the hood, and it's weird because, you know, Park Street, it's a long ass street, and you figure from the beginning of Park Street, Bum Park, you can fucking get anything and everything all the way to fucking Flatbush. So I shoot, but I stopped because I have so many abscesses on my body right now. It's like it's so hard to get antibiotics. I don't have a primary care doctor. You know, I don't. All the stuff that you had before you were homeless it's all a struggle to get. This hurts. This hurts. This whole situation. You know, I created it myself, and I mean, I didn't create it myself. I could have done things different.
I got you at the shack. You stay at the shack down there, down the hill? Alright. So let's go down there. Let's go down there.
They've worked for me for the past couple of weeks, and because I was staying under a bridge behind the armory. People still come out here and they get high and they just leave their needles all over the place. A bag of fentanyl is $2. This is the shack. So what I did is I didn't have enough fat to get me straight, so I using a cotton shop from earlier. I miss my son. I miss my wife. I miss going to work every day. I miss taking a shower. You know, it's so hard. I don't mean to break down, but it's just, this is real. It's not make-believe. People don't realize the pain and the hurt, and you know, I remember fucking waking up with a rat on my head. I fucking so hungry that I had to just walk into a Stop and Shop and just steal food because no one would fucking help me out. And it's just people don't realize how hard it is mentally, physically, emotionally. It's hard, man. It's a struggle every day to put your shoes on and just get going and you know, a normal life to me is waking up and making a pot of coffee and smoking a joint and going to work and fucking calling my wife at noontime and telling her I'm alright, and bringing my kids to school, and my son goes to Trinity Magnet, my youngest son, and he this is hard on him. Life is so fucked up, man. It upsets me, man. It upsets me. I've tried to. I gotta stop doing drugs. I want my kids back, man. That's the biggest thing in my life right now. Like I want my kids. I'm fucked up, so it's pretty much a wrap for that. Now all I can do is just change myself, I guess.
Now the danger and the reason that people are dying is a bag of fentanyl versus a bag of heroin. If fentanyl is 50 times stronger than heroin, it doesn't mean that you need 50 bags of heroin to equal the fentanyl. It means there's that much less active ingredient. Where a bag of fentanyl, a bag of heroin might be 50% active ingredient, a bag of fentanyl is only 1 or 2% active ingredient. And the problem there comes with the mixing. If this was mixed in a pharmacy, you could ensure that every bag had the exact same of active ingredient, in which case nobody would overdose because they would know what their tolerance was. The problem is with it, and also fentanyl tends to clump, which makes it even harder. So that every time somebody uses fentanyl, they might not be getting any fentanyl, they might be getting the 2%, which would be the standard dose, or they could be getting 20%, which will kill them if they use alone. So what I found today, the reason that people die from overdoses is that they use alone, and if they overdose and no one finds them, by the time we get there, it's often too late. And the reason that they overdose is because of the fentanyl, because no one can tell the dose that they're getting. So if we could find a way to keep people from using alone, and we could find a way to ensure that the dosing was accurate, many of these deaths would not be happening.
We responded to over 300 active scenes last year. My team. In over 100 of those cases, we used Narcan to save a life.
Pretty much every day I work, I do at least one overdose. I've had other days where I've done, 3 or 4 within a day. Recently, I've had a number of cases of multiple overdoses.
There's been an overdose every day that you hear about, that I hear about, somewhere through this North Carolina. Such and such fell out, but he was all right. Somebody gave him some narco. Every day, somebody out here overdosed. Every day.
New tonight, drug overdose deaths are the leading cause of unintentional deaths here in Connecticut.
And today, state leaders and health experts came together to talk about what more can be done to fight this epidemic. And here are some eye-opening numbers. In 2021, 93% of overdose deaths in Connecticut involved an opioid, 86% involved fentanyl.
How many people have to die before we're willing to think outside of the box? We lost over 100,000 lives to fatal overdose, and we haven't even come into the 4th wave of this epidemic.
They're calling on the federal government to take real action and provide the resources to prevent these tragic deaths. Senator Blumenthal says they'll need more money to fund new and existing programs, but it starts with the federal government.
I overdosed 5 times in 7 days. 5 times in 7 days. And I want to stop. I ain't give a fuck. Like, I literally wanted to, like, just let me, like, I would be mad at the firefighter if they come in, you know what I'm saying, narc at me, and I'd be like, man, what the fuck y'all doing? Like, you know what I'm saying, I'm good, like, I don't know, I don't know what the fuck it is, man. I just, you know what I'm saying, you just kind of give up sometimes and shit.
When I fell out, they took any and everything at value, even the shoes off my feet, and brought me to the 1st floor porch and left me there. 2 people came by and said, "Who was that, low?" and got 911. Teddy Pendergrass ain't never lied. Cold, cold world. You hear me?
The first time I was Narcan 3 times, and it didn't make any sense to me because, like, thank you. A human being can go 3 minutes without oxygen, 3 days without water, and 3 weeks without food. I believe that's the rule. So if I instantly drop to the floor, in less than 30 seconds, you're saying I turned blue, it doesn't make sense to me because I haven't even been without oxygen. I was just talking to you. So why did you Narcan me 3 times? It also takes time for Narcan to kick in.
For you, this is out of the capital city. A 13-year-old student is in grave condition tonight at the hospital after overdosing on fentanyl. Channel 3 Hartford Bureau Chief Aya Galal is live right now. She is at the Sports and Medical Sciences Academy with more on what she's finding out for us tonight. Aya?
And Mark, these were all 7th grade students involved. We know that a 13-year-old is in grave condition at the hospital tonight. Officials are still trying to figure out if the other 2 students involved actually ingested that fentanyl. Several packets were found throughout the school, and several hours later, both local and state officials remain out here at the school investigating.
The overdose of the 13-year-old at the Hartford Public School was a terribly tragic event. If there's anything to come out of it, when a young person dies, it causes a community to have self-reflection. And if something comes out of it, it's hopeful that the city will really focus and dedicate itself to this epidemic.
It was a teachable moment. There is a saying that I'm not agreeable with, and it's something that I don't know where it originated, but was definitely repeated, was that some people die so that others might live. A lot of the conversations, a lot of the things we've been calling for quite a long period of time that have fallen on deaf ears is a result of that unfortunate incident and that young man dying. People began having conversations. Some of them had value, others were just like from the city structure and the city perspective. Let's at least, and here's my take on the city. Be very candid. They engaged us in population until the spotlight wore off. And then it was business as usual. We really don't want to have to deal with this, and it ain't our problem. That's the city stand. And as long as it's bad for business politically, it won't be our stand. The Rover is my offer to the harm reduction community to expand best practice with minimal disruption to wherever it's introduced, the service delivery of that entity or organization. The Rover is a toolbox, if you will, of harm reduction best practices that allows you to engage people with the same things that we do in a syringe service site like the drop, but you can do it from your office.
We have brick and mortar, 557, 559 Albany Avenue, that's open Monday through Friday from 9 to 5. Then we have an RV that's by Colts Park on Weathersfield Avenue. That's 7 in the morning to 2 o'clock. Also on Tuesdays and Thursdays, they're at the Hartford Community Court, where they do, we get people into detox treatment. They do wound care, not only at 557, but on the RV. So we have nurses there that actually do wound care. We have people that come in with abscesses and, they take care of them and then do referrals to other places.
They count on us to come out every day, and when they miss a day, man, it really affects them because they're reusing the needles too many times, and the needles are meant to be used once. So we're a harm reduction agency, so we try to supply them with enough needles that they're not constantly sticking themselves with a dull needle and hurting themselves, So we try to make sure that they have an adequate amount of needles. So you'll see that if they come with 7, we'll give them 10. You give them a little extra because it means a lot. You know, if they're heavy hitters and they're changing 200, 300, we'll throw them 2 extra bags, you know, because they have a lot. The vitamin C is to break down the crack, because that's for the people that shoot cane. So there's really not good cane on the street now. So because when you cook the cocaine down and make it into base, it cooks out all the impurities that's normally in the cocaine. So it's a stronger form of cocaine. So people were using vinegar or Kool-Aid to break down the cocaine so they can inject it. But vinegar is going to tear your veins up, and Kool-Aid is definitely not made to be injected. But vitamin C is something that's not going to be harmful, and it gives them the effect that they need. And a lot of them are vitamin C deficient, so they're getting it into their body at the same time, you know? So we give them the vitamin C so that they can break down the crack into an injectable form, so therefore they can get the desired result that they want without hurting themselves with the, you know? Because they inject the vinegar and they're like, man, that burns, it's this, that. But your end game is getting high, so you're gonna do whatever you need to do in order to get high. So I always tell them, I said, look, my job is to keep you alive. I don't care if you get high. I just don't want you to die. I care if you die. You know what I'm saying? So my job is to give you the supplies, teach you what you need to learn, and be available to you if you do decide that you want to get clean.
Law and stigma drive people into the shadows, and that's where they die. We don't want to drive people away. We want to bring them out into the open. We want to bring them into a healthcare environment and treat them as humans, as members of our community, because they are. There are sisters, brothers, fathers, uncles, mothers, you know, next door neighbors, all people who at one point or another in their life suffered something that caused them to go down a path that they could not have foreseen.
That's the difference between public consumption sites, man. These people use in secrecy and they die. They die in Dunkin' Donuts, they die in McDonald's, they die in City Hall. You think anybody's made that notice, made that call? They die in the Hartford Public Library. Hartford Public Library knows about it. Think anybody makes that call?
At the drop-in center, you have a bathroom there that serves as an overdose prevention site because we have a very stringent bathroom policy. So once you go into the bathroom, everyone is versed on this before they're allowed in. You have 3 minutes, a timer goes off audibly. We ask you if you're okay. We have to audibly hear you're okay, and if we don't, we open the door just to make sure you're okay. We've had multiple overdoses that have occurred in our bathroom because the reality is many overdoses happen in public, and they happen in public bathrooms a lot. So if someone's going into the bathroom, I don't know what you're going to do realistically, and I just want to ensure that you're as safe as possible. And because of that, every overdose that's occurred in our bathrooms has been reversed. The people survived. They were transported, by ambulance to the hospital, and were able to still come back. Some people come back and say thank you. Some people come back and seek treatment. Some people come back and they're not ready yet, but they know that we're a safe space to talk about their options and the different things that they can do.
What naloxone does is, when you give it to somebody, it knocks the opioid off the receptors in the brain that are shutting down the breathing and enable them to breathe again on their own in an adequate way. So it's very important that when somebody overdoses, they get naloxone within a certain length of time. When I began as a paramedic, only paramedics could administer it. Over time, we were able to successfully change the laws so that EMTs and first responders such as police and fire could administer it if they got there first, and lay people could administer it. So what I find now, where before I would show up and the person would not be breathing, now often I arrive and the person has already received naloxone from a bystander and they're up and breathing. Many times, in fact, I've shown up on scenes and found Mark and other members of the harm reduction coalition there with the person. They've helped revive them, and they're also there once they've been revived to talk to them, to offer them, opportunities to get into treatment. So it's a wonderful drug.
Where they put the Narcan, we can block it out. Don't worry. They set the Narcan in there. Huh? So, like I said, this is something they
can say all that shit because I am. I have done the work in this field to put me in a unique position as a person of color running an organization that I founded and have built from the ground up. I didn't take it over. I didn't assume the reins. It wasn't given to me. I created something that's living and breathing, that is effective and has started from something small and gotten larger. I'm in a unique perspective there. We have 175 people daily dying from fatal overdose in the United States. 175 people daily. Right now, it's the equivalent of a 747 fully loaded crashing, and everyone on board dies 3 times a week. And everybody on board dies. If this were the airline industry, would anything fly?
Yo, how you doing? Star? Stacy? What's going on? You remember me?
I can't see you because I got no glasses on.
Oh, you supposed to be wearing glasses this whole time? It's the docu-series, dude. We met in the drop during the summertime.
Ruby, it's Ruby.
Ruby, that's what it is. Ruby, there you go. I called you the wrong name. My bad, Ruby. How you doing? How you been?
Good. How you guys been?
I've been good. We've been good. We've been good. Just trying to finish the docu-series. It's supposed to be coming out in like a week and a half. So I'm out here trying to get more footage, and I stumbled across one of our stars in the docu-series. It's kind of crazy. How you been?
Horrible. I've been in and out the hospital. I got hit by a car on Clark Street, and they found me on the side of the road. And I went to St. Francis, and I told them that I had hip pain. And it turns out that for a week they never took an x-ray, did anything for me, and I was having a hard time walking. They discharged me, and then within like a week it got to the point where I couldn't even move my foot forward. So I got a lot of friends out here, guys, just friends. They were literally had to pick me up and carry me where I had to go. They threw me over their back. Thank God I'm only like 100 pounds. And bring me where I had to go. And then one night, I was by the church, by the graveyard on Main Street, and I was out there for like 4 hours screaming for someone to call 911 because I was in so much pain. People walked by me, people drove by me, nobody would call 911. Anybody asked if they could call, they didn't have a phone. Finally, a lady walking her dog, she said, I thought it was a joke. I was like, I'm out here screaming in pain. You think it's a joke? She finally called 911. They brought me to Hartford Hospital. They treated me like shit because I'm an addict, of course. They were gonna discharge me again, and finally, because I couldn't make it to the x-ray with so much pain, after they got the x-rays, because I told them I can't walk. Where am I supposed to go? I can't walk. The orthopedic surgeon came running down for me to sign paperwork because he said that I might never walk again. I've been walking around on a fractured hip for almost 2 weeks.
So you got a wheelchair? Is that how you've been getting around?
This isn't even mine. I found this behind Sands. They let me go with I wasn't AMA. I was discharged. They have me in there in the hospital on all types of opiates and stuff, which is understandable because he said it's one of the worst breaks you can get in your body, and the pain is horrific. They did not give me a hip replacement because if you go for a hip replacement, you have to get more throughout the years, and you always have to go back every 10 years. They were able to save my bone. Part of it was necrotic, which means the bone had died. While I was walking around on it, but they shaved it down. They're able to save it and put it back together, kind of like Humpty Dumpty. But the problem with that is that it takes time to heal. So, again, they have me on all kinds of pain medication, but because I'm an addict, they don't want to let me go anywhere. The biggest problem I'm having is that I was supposed to go to a medical respite. Medical respite's on the 2nd floor. I can't walk upstairs, so they wouldn't take me. No nursing home would take me because I have substance abuse.
They don't got an elevator?
There's no nursing home to take me because of my substance abuse history, so I had nowhere to go. They discharged me to the community, and I'm still out here,
and Devin Booker. We could've lost Billy at that Walmart. I was worried about my friend. Y'all was thinking about a false start. We still gon' turn rap into nice houses. Pioneering that like the first black at the White Fountain. Soul Poppy, Sinvet too. I'm exploring options. Line full of fiends look like Jordan's dropping. You niggas either got a mistake or a crude joke. I was wise enough to learn from what you fools spoke. She stalked me on the gram where she really could know me. My top 5, he, me, Rick, Benny, and Shody. Shout out mama on that 10-year sobriety chip. I hope my bullshit ain't the reason her sobriety slipped. We need more Narcan for the trap. We need more Narcan for the trap. 2 white lights passed out in the back. We need more Narcan for the trap. Might lose one off this batch if we don't get more Narcan in the strap. We need more Narcan in the trap. We need more Narcan in the trap. Right back out of this shit. Baby BSF. Y'all waiting for me to fuck it up.
I'm gonna say the fool for you then.